episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I'm your host, Eric Smith, and today I'm talking about Children of the Dark by Jonathan Janz. And this is from Sinister Grin Press. I love that cover. It's that sort of beat up look. So Children of the Dark is the story of Will Burgess. He's 15 years old. It's the summer after his freshman year of high school. And he's our main character. He's telling the story. And Will has kind of a crappy home life. He doesn't know who his father is. His mother is addicted to painkillers, and Will is stuck taking care of his 6-year-old sister Peach. He's on the baseball team, and he's very good. He and his best friend Chris play baseball, but there's a couple of guys on the team that are just assholes and are worried for their spots on the team because Will and Chris are so good. So these guys are very, very much bullies. Will has a crush on a girl named Mia Samuels, and she's dating one of those assholes. So that's not good. This is all taking place in Shadeland, and this particular summer, things are going to get bad. Not only is the worst storm, thunderstorm, whatever, in a decade approaching, but a serial killer by the name of Carl Paget, also known as the Moonlight Killer, has escaped from prison, seems to be headed their way, and there's also something ancient and evil in Savage Hollow, the forest in Shadeland. Something evil that's rising, and it's all going to come together and make life hell for Will Burgess. So this is a coming-of-age story, which seems to be a staple of horror writers. You've got The Body by Stephen King, which of course is the basis for the movie Stand By Me. You've got This Boy's Life by Robert McCammon, Ghoul by Brian Keene. It seems like, at least to me, that most horror writers eventually try their hand at a coming-of-age story. Maybe it's something about writing about their own teenage years. In a way, I'm assuming the horrible things didn't actually happen to them. The extreme horror. I know some of the things, at least as far as like in Brian Keene's Ghoul, I believe some of the things that happened to that main character happened to Brian Keene. So I don't know if it's a way of getting those things out that horror authors like to do. Maybe it's just that usually in these coming-of-age stories, the characters are preteens or young teens. In this case, Will is 15. So maybe there's just something about that age that horror authors like to explore. I don't know. But anyway, this is Jonathan Janz's coming-of-age story. And it's, right off the bat, I'm just going to say it's absolutely fantastic. Easily my favorite book from Mr. Janz at this point. The characters are so well developed, which is something that you can miss when the story's being told in first person because you don't have that omnipotent narrator. But Will is very open about himself in the story, so we get huge amounts of development with his character. And then he really knows it's a smaller town, Shadeland, so he knows the people, and kids talk. So even though we're seeing everything through Will's eyes, we really get to know the other characters. We understand why his mother has become addicted to pain pills, and we really understand Will's pain and anger when it comes to his mother. His sister Peach Oh, so adorable, and that's just makes it all the more impactful when Will is talking about Peach, how he feels responsible, how he feels let down by his mother, um, and it's such a great relationship between Will and Peach. You know, he loves his little sister, he wants to take care of her, but he also wants to be a 15-year-old boy, do his own thing. Um, Will's friends, his two best friends are Chris, as I mentioned, and a kid named Barley. Um, and they like to just be 15-year-old boys. They have a tree house. They like to go up there and do their tree house things. They've got a lamp up there, and they'll sneak up some nudie magazines, and they'll talk about movies and sports and everything else and girls. Um, so just fantastic to me. You know, I was once a 15-year-old boy, and these relationships, the behaviors all feel very real to me. uh, Mia Samuels is someone that Will has known for most of his life. Second grade, I forget what grade it was they met, um, but he's known her since then, and he's got this crush. um, and he kind of hopes she feels the same way, but there's that her boyfriend in the way, and that dude is just an ass. But we come to understand why. Um, we really learn the motivations, the reasons behind why most of the characters are the way they are, which is just incredibly strong writing. And as always, if you've ever watched any of my reviews, you know how important character is to me. And these are some of the strongest, most well written characters that I've read in a long time. You really come to feel for them, care for them, or not, as the case may be. I mean, there are characters that you're not meant to care for, but you will understand them for the most part. Uh, and then you've got the threats. You've got Carl Paget, the Moonlight Killer. Um, you know, we hear about him early on, and then his escape from prison and his movement towards Shadeland, or maybe away. You know, they're not sure at first. And then there's this other thing, this sort of legend that we learn about the children, um, that may or may not inhabit Savage Hollow. You know, it could be a legend. Maybe it's not. Maybe there's some truth to it. Uh, and I, at first, I thought this was going to be a case of this thing that bothers me when I read um, certain stories, and that's that these two things just happen to take place at the same time. Oh, it just so happens that at the same time Carl Paget, the Moonlight Killer, has escaped from prison and is heading towards Shadeland. We also have this other ancient evil rising up from Savage Hollow. What a coincidence that these two things are taking place at exactly the same time. And yet, Jonathan Janz addresses it and, excuse me, makes it work. And it really does. And so, my fears that it was just going to be another one of those huge coincidental things were completely put to rest because it works. Um, and the fact that this huge storm is coming in, you know, that just adds to the problems that Will has. Um, just I'm gushing, I think, because this was just so good. As I said, absolutely the best thing that I've read by Jonathan Janz. Um, I can easily say at this point, it's only May, but definitely my favorite book of the year so far. It's going to take a lot for someone to top this. Uh, Maybe I'm slightly biased because, again, I was once a 15-year-old boy, so I can really relate to the character and everything that's going on. You know, wanting to play baseball. I was never on an official team. I played a little league, but I didn't play in high school or anything. I'm not that good. But I enjoyed going out. We played pickup games all the time. So summertime, playing baseball, hanging out. We have woods. across the street. We never had a tree house, but we were always playing in the woods, uh, and having sleepovers and just being kids. And so I can really relate to all of what's going on here as far as that goes. We never had a serial killer coming back to town, and I don't think we ever had an ancient evil rising up out of the woods. Um, but it's the reality of the characters that makes those other elements so much more horrific. Um, because as I said, you're going to come to care for these characters, and so the potential that something might happen to them just weighs on you so much more. And Janz really pulls out all the stops in this book. Um, I've said it before for others in other stories for other authors, that no one is safe, and really, um, in this book, it's you do not know who's going to live and who's going to die. A lot of stories you can tell right off the bat. Okay, these are the characters that are going to survive. We know that these characters are going to die. They're Sometimes it seems like these characters are there just to be killed, but I say it's all up in the air in this book, um, except for Will, apparently, since he's telling the story. Although I have read stories that were in first person, and it turns out that the main character died. Um, Not saying that's the case here. I'm just saying anything's possible. But just absolutely fantastic. I feel like there were some other things I wanted to cover, and I'm forgetting them. I don't have anything else in my notes. So, really, I'm not sure what else to say. You just fantastic writing, fantastic characters, fantastic story. So I don't think it's going to come as any surprise that once again I have decided to break down the laws of mathematics and give Children of the Dark by Jonathan Janz 6 out of 5 approaching storms. Those are supposed to be storm clouds, um, coming over and covering up the sun. But 6 out of 5 approaching storms. Just a fantastic book. It's a must read if you're a horror fan. If you're a fan of just plain old good writing and great characters, you need to pick this up. This, to me, I've enjoyed everything I've read by Jonathan Janz, but and it may seem cliched, but this really to me is his breakout book. Um, I know there's some others that he's done that people really liked, more so than I did, but to this man, he killed it with this. Just absolutely amazing. Um, I've said it for other writers. This is the book that should make Jonathan Janz a household name. Seriously, it's absolutely amazing. Um, and it's despite its thickness, it was a relatively quick read. Maybe that's because I just did not want to put it down. I was up. I do work odd hours, so um, my sleep habits are weird. But I was up at 3 in the morning and read till 7 in the morning. I don't know. Hours and hours. I did not want to put it down. Children of the Dark, Jonathan Janz from Sinister Grin Press. Absolutely amazing. 6 out of 5. You've got to pick it up and read this fantastic story. So, all right. I'm not thinking of whatever potential thing it was I wanted to say, so I guess we'll end it here. I will have 1 or 2 links for picking up this book in the description below. Pick it up. You must pick this up and read it. It's just so good. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, put them in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning We don't want to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't read the book yet. But if you have any questions, if you want more specifics, just ask me. I'll tell you with a spoiler warning. So please like, share, and subscribe. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Eric Smith. Pick up and read Children of the Dark by Jonathan Janz. It is a must-read, my #1 book of the year so far. So that's it, and until next time, read more books.